Hello friends, Riflechair here, and welcome to my shop, the magical place where wonderful things occur. Today I was tinkering out here in the shop today, and I started thinking about philosophy of use for some of the platforms that I have, and overlap. Now, for those of you that are familiar with this channel, I'm sure all of you are, but Nut and Fancy has a term or phraseology that he uses called philosophy of use, acronym POU. And over the years of being a subscriber to his channel, I've been using the same acronym because it's the best one out there for the intended purpose, which is to evaluate each one of your firearms to determine what its niche is, what its best use is, what its best application is. And for me, one of my most important philosophies of use for probably a small spectrum of my gear is wilderness trail use, a general use rifle. Just simply because of where I live, the kind of animals that I run to out in the bush, and I do live in a very forested area, a small village in a massive forest surrounded by mountain ranges and huge rivers full of salmon and tons of bears and grizzly bears and black bears up yin yang, moose. I'd like to see more moose though, but anyway, that's a separate thing. So when I'm out and I'm working, or I'm out and I'm playing, or I'm out and I'm hiking with the kids out in Crown Land, I will carry a rifle with me, just because I know from experience how uncomfortable it is to be in close proximity to opportunistic predators like grizzly bears and black bears. They can be exceedingly dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about a grizzly bear called the Phantom of Hungry Hill. And this is in a community that is really close. It's basically the next community over from where I live. And they have grizzly bears and black bears just like we do. But there's this one specific bear that became legendary amongst the farming community there. And they referred to him as the Phantom of Hungry Hill because they just couldn't catch him. They couldn't find him. I mean, he was killing cattle with these beef farmers. I mean, just decimating their herds. And so they worked with the conservation officers, and the conservation officers are amazing people. I mean, these are highly skilled, highly trained. Many of them are they're just amazing people. These conservation officers that we have in British Columbia, they're just incredible. Highly proficient, very intelligent, exceedingly professional. They're great. And the farmers have been talking to the COs, the conservation officers, for some time. And so, around these bait sites, which are essentially the cattle that the bears have killed, or the bear had killed, they set these. They've been setting snares for years. I mean, the bear would come in the spring, kill a bunch of cattle, and disappear for the summer up into the Bulkley Valley, and then come back in the fall and hit the cattle again, fattening up for winter hibernation. So he disappeared for the summers. I mean, year 2000 goes by, and then, that's 2001, and the spring hits. The farmers start calling again. By now, 15 head of cattle have been killed. The last 2 of them were fully grown adult cows for around 1,500 pounds each, killed by this grizzly bear. Now, they've been catching bears, so they'd snare a bear, and a grizzly bear, they're out in these bait sites, and they'd shoot it. They figured, okay, the problem is over, right? They shot the bear, but no. This bear, this big bear that was doing this stuff, he was smart. He knew what the traps were. He was smart, so he eluded. He'd go in for the bait, and the snare would be tripped, but he wasn't in it. Anyway, so one morning a phone call comes in. There's a terrible racket coming from the tree line. So one of the CEOs goes out and does a patrol, takes out his binoculars, looks down into the ravine, There's a bloody big grizzly bear, and he's snared. So he calls his, this is off, I think it's Officer Nixon, who's got a 30-06 running 180 grain bullets. He calls Officer Lacey, who's got a 338 Win Mag. And the both of them, they go out and they put a plan together. There's that bear. They're gonna have to go down to into a depression in the terrain, come back up, and the bear's on the other side. They put a plan together, and they're running rifles similar to this, kind of a scoped rifle, is what you see here. Kind of your typical hunting rifle situation, you know, running an optic, usually a fixed 4 power or a 3 to 9 by 40 or something like that. They're both rigged out with essentially hunting rifles, and they start making their way. They get to the crest of the ravine, on one side of the ravine, and the bear is just tugging away because the bear is aware of them now, and it is increasingly escalating in its ferocity in trying to get out of this trap. He's biting at the cable, and he's running away from the anchor point and trying to get loose. And the officers are about 35 meters away, but they don't have a clear shot. So they decide to move over into an opening, when suddenly they hear snap. The bear lunges and just starts running at them. And they take their rifles. They're loaded. They take the safeties off. They try to get a sight picture. They can't. They're trying to find the bear, and you can hear it coming. You can hear it's coming for them, and it's charging. And suddenly they see a flash of movement. They both start firing, and by the time the bear stops, it's 7 paces in front of them, and it's been shot. 30-06 separated its spinal column, and it was essentially a stopping shot. It wasn't a killing shot, but it stopped the bear, and it died shortly thereafter. The 225 entered underneath it grazed the bear's chin and hit center of mass. Both of those CEOs essentially probably couldn't have shot better, considering the type of rifle platform that they had. There's a very good chance that if one of those officers hadn't hit that spinal column, they're going down. It's a really good chance. They weighed the bear at 1,019 pounds. 1,019 pounds of fierce muscle, bone, sinew, blood and guts, and a real bad temper. It was a hungry bear. He'd kill a 1,500-pound cow, eat a little bit, and then bugger off, disappear. He was elusive. He was wise. He was smart. But he was a killer. So those those CEOs they're incredibly lucky, but obviously their skill and their practice had saved the day for them. Now, if you were to think about, let's imagine that you're me, and you're out in country that has to deal with animals like that on a semi-regular basis. What kind of rifle or shotgun platform would you carry? Would it be your typical hunting rifle situation, or would it look a little bit different? So I'm going to show you some of the rigs that I carry for this specific purpose, for either for trail defense or for hunting in tight woods where you can run into these animals, especially during hunting season. You can hear shots echoing across the valley as somebody gets their deer or their moose. And usually what you leave behind is a gut pile. And bears in some areas where I live are so accustomed to hearing those kinds of shots. They associate food with a gut pile and a gunshot. So they hear a gunshot, they'll start making their way towards the gunshot. And if you're still there field dressing your animal, well, and that grizzly bear pokes its head out of the tree line and starts coming at you, you're in real trouble. So what kind of a hunting rifle / carry wilderness defense platform would you consider to be high on your priority list? So I'm going to throw a couple of examples at you for options that I think that you might consider, because I've found that they're exceedingly effective at doing the job. The first one here is the Marlin 1895. This particular example is, I've already safetied it, but I'll do it again. This particular example here is in 4570, and it is Remlin, which means it's not really a Marlin manufacturer. Well, it is a Marlin, but it's manufactured owned by Remington now. There's some quality control problems that I've got with it, but they're really minor in nature. I mean, this is just Marlin just makes such a great product. I prefer the older ones, but this here is a Remlin. It works fine. It does not have micro groove rifling, and it has kind of your just traditional cut rifling. And I've got the full barrel because I like the balance of the way the full barrel works with the Model 1895 Marlin. And I'm running 400 grain hard cast bullets out of this at around 1800 feet per second. The design for this rifle is to take down a charging animal like a grizzly bear or a bull moose, and I want bone crushing penetration. That's ultimately what I want. I want to be able to smash shoulder joints, spinal columns. I just want to be able to punch a big hole through that 1,000-pound creature that's charging at me at close range and just stop it. Right, so that's the idea behind this, and anything that essentially has antlers or horns during hunting season that sticks its head out, and it's in real trouble if I got this in my hands here. But considering the bullet weight, I do have a fairly limited range on where I can make use of those kinds of shots. You know, good, reliable hit locations, or because of the bullet drop issues with a 400 grain bullet moving fairly slow. It's not a lot of fun to shoot, I'll tell you that. It's not a firearm that I take out for an afternoon of fun plinking, okay? It's not. But you got to push yourself through that and understand how the rifle works, understand how the recoil affects you, attired as you would be in a natural situation with a backpack on or a belt order or something to that effect. Train for real, and fight as you train as you fight. Another rifle that I will use for trail defense, especially for and hunting, is a rifle that is configured, as you will see so here, with this CZ550, and this beautiful little rifle right here. You've seen this before in some of my other videos. This here is in 30-06 CZ550FS. The front wood has been removed, it's borderized, and I'm of course running the NECG peep sight. So the sights have been removed off the barrel here, the rear sights, and I've opted to go with kind of a ghost ring peep sight, as you see here. It's a beautiful, beautiful rifle. It's not entirely a lightweight, but it's a carbine. It's got a 20-inch barrel on it, and running 180 grain nozzler partitions. There's pretty much not much in the world that this won't stop. But again, proper hip placement, and again, you'll see a pattern that's developing here. This rifle does not have a scope on it either. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go back to philosophy of use, as Nothing Fancy says, or POU. And the third platform that I will seriously consider for my wilderness protection needs is something what a lot of people will do, and that is just a 12 gauge shotgun, like this Mossberg 590 SP. Okay, I mean, we're talking about, sorry for pointing this at you, but you got your front post here, and of course we have beautiful ghost ring combat peep sights that are on the shotgun. Is it 8-round tubular magazine? So again, an incredible shotgun. Also, you'll see I've got the Fab Arms pump on here with the rails on the sides, simply because I'm a real believer in on having a modular system, which means that if I'm going to be doing any kind of night sentry, or if I'm in a situation where I know I got a bear problem and it's nighttime, then I will have obviously some form of illumination on this shotgun to address that hazard. So yeah, again, none of these platforms have any kind of optical magnification sight bolted onto them, because in the to place yourself back to the Phantom of Hungry Hill and their situation, trying to find that fast-moving animal, which basically closed the distance from 35 meters to 7 paces within 2 seconds. And in that 2 seconds, they didn't have any shots because it was moving so fast, and there was brush in the way. A scope in that situation is not helping you. If you can address a hazard 35, 50 meters away, maybe 100 meters away, just kill that bear, you've got the 100-meter shot, then sure, use a scope. Perfect. I mean, you'll save ammunition because it's moving around. The first shot might not do it. It's really angry. It's full of adrenaline. It's extremely tough. An animal like that can be very difficult to kill because they're like this. The muscles are tense. They're not a flaccid, relaxed animal. They're an angry animal full of adrenaline, and they're difficult to stop. But if you can take that 100-meter shot, sure, use a firearm that's got an optical sight on it. But if you weigh all of the risks, the one that is the lowest common denominator is to assume Murphy's Law will kick in, and you will get way too comfortably close to that dangerous animal. And in that case, some kind of a battle-proven peep sight or open sight might save your life. This is Riflechair signing off. I hope you enjoyed that. Cheers, and as always, Maple Leaf up.